So let's try and get comfortable because I'm at that stage now where my belly is quite big and it becomes really uncomfortable if andlelanga kakuhle or I'm not sitting in the proper position. I'm also trying to be warm because it's a bit chilly today. So, yeah, anyways, hey guys, welcome back to another video. If you are new here, hi and welcome. My name is Natasha, and this is a space where we share our experiences, we learn, and we grow. If you have not subscribed to the channel as yet, please do so just by clicking that red, no, white subscribe button below. For all the returning family members, welcome back, fam. You know the house rules. We make sure that we are subscribed to the channel. We give the video a thumbs up. We interact in the comments section below, and we share the video so that we can reach more people. Guys, I'm back with another video, and on today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you guys how I really felt about having my second child out of wedlock and how my family and friends reacted. And that is those that I told about the news because I didn't tell everyone. Yeah, so let's start the video. So I was honestly disappointed. So I found out I was pregnant and I have shared that video by now. You guys would have watched it. Found out I was pregnant. It was a very big shock. Wasn't planning on having a second child anytime soon. Um, it altered our entire lives. Sorry, I was having crisps. I was having e-chips. So they stuck in my teeth. I apologize. I'm also having some hot water here because once again, we are banned. So yeah, as I was saying, I was disappointed because the plan was to get married first, then have a child in general. Like, even with my first child, I wasn't planning to have a child out of wedlock. I would have hoped that I got married first and then have the child. But obviously, plans didn't work out the way I anticipated them. So I told myself, okay, with my second child, if God decides to bless me with one, I will make sure that ndichatile kuqala before ndibe nomntana, right? So I've got the notes that I wrote down on my other phone. So if I keep looking down, I'm just trying to make sure that I'm keeping that I am on track. So I always tried to be careful because I was avoiding pregnancy out of wedlock. So when it happened, it was obviously a very big shock. For many reasons, I don't know if I've shared all the reasons in the how I found out I was pregnant video, but I think I will share. I don't know which video will come first, whether it is the pregnancy journeys or this one, but I have shared the entire situation in the my pregnancy journey videos. And it was simply because we just felt like it wasn't the right time. You know, financially, we were not in a good place. Emotionally, I also don't think we were prepared. Mentally, I also don't think we were prepared because, as I said a lot of times, that it wasn't part of the plan. We were not planning at all. So it really came across as a very big shock. And I think also, being that I am a girl who was raised in a Christian home, and so was my partner. We were both raised in Christian homes, and that upbringing of, being a Christian came with like rules and timelines for certain things to happen. So you can't jump from high school to having a baby, yabo, or you can't jump from high school to varsity and then you have a baby. There were timelines that were put for us, whether intentionally or unintentionally, that were put for us to do certain things at certain times, So the whole expectation has always been that you finish high school, you get into varsity, you finish varsity, score yourself a good job, um, get yourself together, get an apartment, get a car, then get married, then have kids, and then you can do everything else that you want to do. So I think also knowing that it did do something to me. And I think that expectation of doing things in a certain timeline, it comes with a lot of well, how can I put it, like ulindele validation, like you wait for validation from your family members and your close loved ones, because we always feel validated when we are doing things that please other people, right? So I think a part of me was still struggling with validation at that time, and people pleasing and looking for approval ebantwini, you know. So for me, it was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be shameful. What are my family members going to say? What are my friends going to say? And I always felt like I almost felt like I was going to be invalidated. I felt like my family was not going to approve of it. And yeah, I felt like it diminished my self worth at that point when I found out. That's how I felt. So, yeah. So I wrote here, plus I was disappointed because I wanted to first be financially stable before having another kid, guys. I think this was the biggest one, besides the expectation from like family and close loved ones. But I was worried because I was like, I am in no place to have another child right now. Um, I found out I was pregnant when I just started a new job. Prior to that, I was unemployed for almost 6 months. Um, I had worked at a company for almost a year, but before that, I was also unemployed. So there was just, yeah, there was just a lot that was happening, and I wasn't in a good place financially. So I was just like, God, I was just trying to get, like, I was just trying to get on my feet and, get my life together, get my life sorted out. And now this is what is happening. So that was another thing that really kicked me off, and like it made me feel so stressed and anxious, because I highly feel like we need to be honest about the fact that kids are a very huge responsibility. And I'm not talking about just nappies and milk and formula and food. No, guys, I'm talking about the fact that a child is not an achievement. A child is not an aesthetic. A child is an assignment. That's an assignment that God gives to you to nurture, to grow for his kingdom and his purpose. So they are a huge responsibility. That is a person you bring into this world who's going to be your responsibility until they are old enough to make their own decisions, right? And even then, they will always be your child and they will always be your responsibility. So I always say this to people, that people think that having a child is not a big commitment um, compared to marriage. I always see this, there's this trend in society where it's okay to just have a child, with someone or anyone, or, you know, casually have a child that is not planned, or, that you won't be able to support in every way. But people are afraid of marriage. Like, marriage is a big no. It's like you can't do that. You can't get married. You can't go there. Yabo, but umntana aska, umntana nje cribs nje, amanapukeni, ukutya, So it worries me that there is that mentality, because people don't realize that yes, marriage is hard. It's a huge responsibility because it's a covenant that you make with the Lord. But when all else fails, you can decide to part ways with someone if you've tried everything. There is an option for you to get out of a toxic relationship or marriage, or if something doesn't serve you anymore. But with kids, You can't just decide to go to, I don't want to be your mom or your dad anymore. And I think I've shared this in one of the videos that if you do that as a parent, trust me, the effects will be visible. They will be present in the child, whether in their teens or the adult life, it will show. So for me, I've always seen it in that way that yes, marriage is a big commitment, it's a huge responsibility, but kids, guys, kids, oh my goodness. Yeah. Um, yeah, also the whole thing of it's important to be in a good space. Xa uba nomntana, not just financially also, or anything that has to do with like the finance side of it, but also mentally, emotionally, it's important for you to be in a good space because you don't want to bring a child when you are not healed. You don't want to bring a child when you're still dealing with stuff. And I'm not saying that you have to be perfect before uba nomntana. You have to be perfect before you have a child because none of us are. None of us will ever be, but at least you should have worked on yourself. Guys, I always say this to all my friends who don't have kids, that if you can save money, make money, um, be in a very good financial place before you have a child. If you can, go to therapy, work on yourself, work on your health, be in a good space mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually before you have a child. Do it. It's the best investment you will ever give to your child. It's always best for you to bring a child into this world that you have prepared for and that you're going to give a best, like the best life to, rather than giving umdana bare minimum or ending up abusing a child or manipulating a child or hurting the child or not giving them the best care or whatever the case may be. So yeah, those were my concerns and why I felt stressed and worried at that time. So, with all of this, there was a family member that I shared the news with, and this family member basically pressurized my partner and I to go and get married. So they were like, "No, why don't you guys get married before the child comes?" Like, basically, to have a civil marriage, maybe just sign at the court or the municipality, whatever. And to be honest, there was a part of me that was like, okay, yeah. But then another part of me was like, nah, why are we allowing, um, this pregnancy to put pressure on us to do something that we wouldn't have done otherwise if I was not pregnant? So I felt like there was unnecessary pressure to get married, even though we were not ready to get married, you know? And I told myself that I don't want to force marriage because I'm pregnant, but I want it to happen because it's time and we are prepared in all aspects and we are financially ready. Um, and I remember I asked myself the question, but okay, if I am to follow up with this advice that I'm receiving from this family member, who would I be doing it for? You know, am I doing it for others or for me? Would I be doing it for others or would I be doing it for me because I'm actually ready? And I realized that I would be doing it because, once again, of that validation, that approval, that thing of, excuse me, you want family's approval, and just to take away that shame of, but oh my gosh, she's having the second child out of wedlock. So I wouldn't have done it for the right reasons. And it's exactly the same thing that I explained in one of my videos where I shared where I was obsessed and desperate for marriage. I wasn't wanting the marriage for the right reasons. And I knew that even now, if we were to go and sign and get married, it wouldn't be for the right reason. And I don't want andifuna uchata ngoncama, andifuna uchata for approval yabantu okanye to please people, because if you do that, if you get married for people's approval, right, and to please people, to prove a point to people, that big commitment that you're making under that circumstance is something that you're going to have to maintain. You always have to do things for people's approval, to please people, and to prove a point type of like thing. And I didn't want that because I'm not that type of person. I do not suffer from abantu bazotini syndrome. I do not struggle with worrying about what other people are going to say about the decisions that I make for my life. So I didn't want to start, and I didn't want to start with such a huge commitment. So I made a decision that, you know what, no, actually, I understand maybe it's coming from a good place, but no. Yeah, and we were just not ready financially, to be really honest. And also, there were many other personal reasons that we felt like that made us feel like we are not ready. I can't share those reasons right on this platform because they are very personal reasons, but there are some things that we have discussed that we have noted and noticed in our personal lives, around our family, and certain aspects that made us feel like it wasn't the right time and it wasn't going to be for the right reasons. So, yeah, so going now to who I told and how they reacted. I told the first person I told obviously was my boyfriend, my partner. And as I shared in the How I Found Out I Was Pregnant video, he was devastated. My partner was shook, guys, when I told him that I was pregnant. But I did share in that video that I think it's also the way that I shared the news, or rather that I broke the news to him, right? I broke the news in a rather not so good way because I started off the conversation by saying, I have bad news. Who does that? That was the worst way to start off a conversation. So, yeah, we were both shocked. We were both hurt, confused, anxious, disappointed, and all of that. Um, but yeah, obviously, it's the shock in the beginning. As the months went by, the excitement started stirring up, and obviously, we started becoming happy about it. And we are excited to meet our little person. So, yeah. And then after I told my partner, I told my brother. My brother is like my best friend, guys. Like, my brother is my best friend. He is one of the closest people that I have in my life. And my brother and I are very close. We share a lot of things. So then I told him because Dandy Goa, guys, to be honest, ne, I told a lot of my really close people that I was pregnant because Nandi Goa. Guys, I was going through it when I found out I was pregnant. The first, I think, 4 months of my pregnancy was literally like I felt like I don't want to say I was in hell because no, I don't want to use that. But it felt like I was being put under fire. Felt hopeless, I felt confused, I felt angry, I felt anxious, I felt stressed, I felt depressed. I was going through it, guys. So I had to I had to tell a few people for support, honestly. And it's not to say that if ever the circumstance was different, maybe I was in a good space and I was happy about it, it was planned, da, 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 I wouldn't have told them. I would have told them still, but I don't think I would have rushed maybe to tell my family, my close family and friends. I would have eventually told them, but I probably would have sat in the news and all of that. But excuse me, with this pregnancy, I just had to tell people because I needed that support, I needed that love. So told my brother. My brother was excited, but he was also shocked. Yeah, my brother is a very nonchalant person, guys. Ndasekaya is like cool as a cucumber. He's a very chill person. So he was like happy, excited, to be an uncle again. Very supportive, Shem, because you're nan like where I used to always, rant and just what's that other word? Uh yeah, I forgot the other word, but I used to rant to him and just go to him when I needed to just offload and all of that. And then I told my sister. My sister was happy for me. Um, yeah, I think overall everyone was happy for me, but I think more than anything, because of the space I was in, people couldn't really express, the excitement, to the level of excitement that they were in. I don't know how to explain it. I think people had to contain the excitement because they were trying to be very considerate of my emotions, very considerate of, how I was feeling, and not dismiss the fact that, okay, it's stressing me out. I'm scared, I'm anxious, and all of that. But to also consider that, okay, this is great news, this is a blessing, and whatever. But we do understand how you feel, and they try to encourage me, based on how I felt. So yeah, and then I told a very close friend of mine, and then I told another friend of mine. Both my friends were happy for me. I think with my friends, I told them like, okay, the one friend I told her, I don't even remember how I told her, but I think I sent her a text if I didn't send her a voice note or something, but I was in a bad space. So nah, yeah, like I think I told all my family members and close people like when I was not in a good space. It wasn't like a hey, I'm pregnant. It was like, oh, I just found out I'm pregnant. Yeah, go. There's a lot happening. Yeah, it was that type of situation. So uh, everyone had to pull out scriptures. Everyone had to pull out the support card, like, okay, how can we support you? Like, it's going to be okay. A child is a blessing. It's going to be okay. We are here for you, blah, 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 blah. So, yeah, then I told my aunt and my uncle. Yeah, my aunt was very happy for me, but even with her, I told her while I was just in the worst place. So, nah, she was just trying to encourage me. Yeah, guys, like my announcement to my family members was not, and my close friends was not like exciting or like a happy announcement. They all found out I was pregnant through voice notes of me crying and in tears and just Dikowa. Yeah, well. Um yeah, for those of you who don't know, I don't have parents. Both my parents passed away. My dad passed away when I was very young. My mom passed away, I think, when I was in grade 8 or something like that. So I didn't have any other person to tell because that is literally my family. Yeah. As for other people, I haven't told other people, and there are just some people that I feel like it's not necessary for me to share my news of being pregnant. I'll only share with them when I have given birth. I feel like I only wanted to keep it to the necessary close family and friends. um I don't know what their reactions will be, and quite frankly, I am not bothered. I couldn't care less. Yeah, there are just some people in my life, guys, whether family or friends, that I don't really, yeah, I don't really care about how they feel about the way I live my life or what I do, because they're not a part of my lives. Akonto bandenzela yona, akonto like to say that I'm dependent on them for something that so much that I owe them. I owe them my life. I owe them indaba zempilo yam. Like I owe them like the news of my life, or for them to know everything that is happening in my life. No. So yeah, some other people just find out once I've given birth, or even maybe when the child is even older. Um, then we shared the news with our close friends. In the Netherlands. Yeah, and everyone was excited. And then during the process, I found out that one of our other friends in the Netherlands is also pregnant and expecting. So basically, it was a thing of I called her and I told her, "Hey, girl, I just wanted to share the news that I'm pregnant." And she was like, "What? I'm also pregnant." So it was like, oh, it was one of the best days ever. Yeah, so we were so happy. About that. And then when we finally met, we were just sharing, how are you feeling? What are you experiencing? What are your symptoms? Blah, 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 blah. Yeah. So yeah, that was it, guys. Literally that was it. It was my partner, my brother, my sister, my two of my close friends, um, my aunt and my uncle, and then our friends from the Netherlands, and that was it. How do I feel now? Well, now I feel acceptance, and I'm just focusing on being my best for me and my child. And I've just realized and learned that people will always talk, and you're not in control of other people's reactions or actions. You're only in control of your actions and reactions. So it's important to not place your peace in other people's hands. And more than anything, to just know that you are not in control of other people. So abantu will talk whether you do good or bad. People will react or act in certain manners, and you are not in control of that. So yeah, I'm just at that point where if people feel disappointed, then it is what it is. Um, I also feel like God was preparing me in a way because I did share in one of my videos that I was having a lot of dreams of me being pregnant. And I remember on the 30th of October, I dreamt I was pregnant and I was at peace, right? And I was back in my hometown and there seemed to be a gathering. This is what was happening in the dream. And someone mocked me for being pregnant again without being married. But I wasn't even bothered. I seemed so at peace in the dream. I was not even concerned about this person who was mocking me. So I think, honestly speaking, God was preparing me with all the dreams that I had, also preparing me mentally. Although I felt like I was not prepared when I found out, but I felt like God was preparing me. Then I remember, um, guys, God, ne, on the 31st of October, which is the day I found out I was pregnant. I remember I sent a message to my partner in the morning and I said to him, I had a dream yesterday that I was pregnant. So basically, I was telling him about the dream now that I've explained to you guys. So I had this dream on the 30th of October. And then on the 31st of October, I tested and found out I was pregnant. So yeah, always felt like God was preparing me, especially with all the dreams I had prior to that. So yeah, guys, that's how I really felt about being pregnant out of wedlock and how my family and certain friends reacted. I know marriage will come and I know in God's good time it will come, but I knew that I had to fix my mind so that I don't resent this child, you know, and so that I also don't live this entire pregnancy with guilt and shame. Yeah, but so I'm in a good space now. I'm happy. I'm excited for my child. I'm taking care of myself, taking care of my baby. And yeah, I'm just prioritizing my peace of mind more than anything. But for now, we show up where we are, we show up how we we are honest about where we are, and we embrace every season, we embrace every moment, take it all in, and learn the lessons we need to learn throughout this journey. And yeah, we look forward to the future. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you've learned something from this video. I hope it helps someone to remove any type of shame that you might also have. And yeah, if you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to share, to subscribe.